Okay, this is really important, so stick around. This is how the Munich Security Conference ended over the weekend.
After the speech of Vice President Vance on Friday, we have to fear that our common value base is not that common anymore. I'm very grateful to all those European politicians that spoke out and reaffirmed the values and principles that they are defending.
The Munich Security Conference is one of the most important yearly meetings on global security in the entire world. It has a bunch of prime ministers, defense ministers, and foreign policy experts, and the experts are freaked out. And that's largely because of a speech by US Vice President J.D. Vance. In his speech, instead of reassuring the world about Trump's foreign policy, he chided European leaders by basically telling them that their efforts to stop the rise of fascism were undemocratic. And that includes his dismissal of disinformation being a thing at all.
Hiding behind ugly Soviet-era words like misinformation and disinformation.
And he basically said we should have let Putin get away with stealing an election in Romania without doing anything about it because European democracies are robust enough to withstand that, whatever the hell that means. Ahead of the events, the Munich Security Conference published a report where they came to the conclusion that the US is now a threat to global security. And these people know what the hell they're talking about, so if they're freaked out, it's worth listening. Since the new administration took office in the US, the number of fascistic things they've done domestically is too long to even begin to address in this video. But on the foreign policy level, in the last month alone, they threatened to annex Panama, Canada, Greenland, Gaza. They deployed troops to the southern border, and they started to build the legal rationale to invade Mexico. Right now, they're negotiating with Russia, without Ukraine, about how much Russia can get away with in Ukraine. US officials have also met in secret with pro-Russia separatists in the Balkans. Meanwhile, Russia has been doing assassinations, sabotage on infrastructure, and psychological warfare all over Europe for the past few years. In response to all this, European countries like France and the UK are starting to consider sending troops to Ukraine for post-war security, and they floated the idea of sending troops to Greenland in case of a US invasion. If you don't know, Greenland is a part of Denmark and therefore it's in the EU. Now, I don't mean to freak everyone out. Most likely and hopefully, cooler heads will prevail and we'll be fine eventually. So why am I telling you this? You know when you board a flight, and even though the crew are reasonably certain that they're gonna land safely at the destination, they still give you a security briefing. And in that briefing, they tell you to locate the nearest exit in case of an emergency landing. Because you don't want to waste time looking for the exit once the plane has already crash landed and the lights are out and people are panicking and maybe there's a fire on board. Well, right now is the time to plan and prepare for what you would do in case of World War III. Do you have family or friends who live in the countryside away from any city? Consider having a conversation with them about whether they would be okay having you over if shit hits the fan. Do you have a way to get there if the grid is down and there's no public transport? Maybe dedicate a closet in your home for a few days to a couple of weeks worth of bottled water, canned food, and I don't know, toilet paper. And finally, consider making what's called a bug-out bag, which is a backpack ready to go with all the essentials you absolutely need to have with you in case you need to leave right now. Hopefully, and most likely, you won't need any of this, but it's better to have it and not use it than need it and not have it. So stay safe and follow for more.